Welcome to the very first episode of Get Aware with Fintolit. This is a space where we talk about real problems, real situations, real risks, and the kind of awareness that can actually help you make better decisions. Today, we're talking about real estate, not the glossy version we see online, the real side of it. And I'm really glad to have Sakshi here with us today, who's been here to see the space both practically and legally. So before we get into the market, I want to know your journey first. So how did real estate happen for you?
Real estate has been a journey which was not pre-planned for me. It just evolved with time. And the journey has been good, has been great, in fact. The only thing the clients or the customers, home buyers, investors, I would say, they and the builders, the only dispute which happens between both of them is with respect to delay possessions, with respect to possession timelines being misunderstood, being absent in the builder-buyer agreement. Then also there are refund delays, and there have been delays there have been disputes with respect to builder-buyer agreements. So these are the things which have been part of real estate, part and parcel of real estate. I'm dealing with that for so many years.
That's really interesting. So it wasn't just planned, it came from seeing real problems.
Yeah.
And I think that gives you a really different lens because you've seen the consequences first.
Yeah.
So what was the toughest part in the beginning?
The most challenging part for me was building trust of the customers. So the clients come to you with a preconceived notion at times because they have been very financially and emotionally burdened, very stressed about the same. If you or me, we have a property and we are not getting possession of the property since 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and after the committed timelines, so that becomes a very emotional burden for the clients. So for that, they come to the lawyer, but building trust is the most important part for the lawyer. And secondly, also I focus on preventing their problems. I tell them that how can we prevent your problems rather than just solving your problems, because prevention is always better than cure. So that's the main.
That makes sense because people don't come to you at the best moment. They come to you when they're actually in trouble and something's already gone wrong.
Exactly.
So you're not just advising, you're actually rebuilding their trust.
Exactly.
And your first case, I'm sure it stayed with you. So were you nervous or confident? What was it like?
It was a mixture of both. The confidence is always in the judiciary. Confidence is always there. However, the feeling of nervousness is because the clients are emotionally and financially burdened. So it's the burden lies on our shoulders to keep them, settle them first, and then to understand their problem, then to also give them proper solution for the same, and to approach legal remedies for the same. So that's where our journey begins.
That's such an important point because real estate is not just paperwork. It's someone's future, their savings and their stability.
Yeah.
Now, when we look at Gurugram today, it feels like everything is moving really fast with the launches, pricing, investor activity at the same time. We also keep hearing about delays and buyer concerns. So from your ground experience, what is actually happening right now?
Yeah, you're very right, Vanya. See, Gurgaon is doing very good with respect to the real estate market. It's flourishing like anything, as we all are aware, we must have seen. However, there have been certain loopholes because the market is being overheated, and overheated in that sense that everything is in a hurry. Possession timelines and signing of the booking form by the customers, everything is done in just a span of the moment, which needs time, which needs a proper investigation, I would say, before signing the booking form by the clients, by the home buyers or investors. They have to read it thoroughly, and they have to read it not in a piecemeal manner, but they have to read it as a proper document, and they have to see where are their rights safeguarded in the agreement, in the booking form, or they are not. So because that is very important, because most of the agreements, most of the things are built by agreements or booking forms, are one-sided. So that is where the client has to review it and thoroughly read the clauses, and for that they obviously need help of a lawyer.
Highly active but slightly overheated. That's a very honest way to put it. So the opportunity are there, but the risks are very much still high. And I'm curious, do you feel the buyers are becoming more aware or they're still taking emotional decisions at the end?
Buyers are becoming more aware, that is very right. But yes, emotional decisions are being taken, and the emotional decisions are being taken seeing the lucrative market, lucrative offers they have been given by the builders. So, you know, the construction plans, there are certain possession length plans and certain plans where 10% of the payment is to be paid at the time of the booking. However, 90% is to be paid at the time of offer of possession. So the buyer uh, thinks that, yeah, I have to give less money in, you know, but all of these clauses, all of these possession link plans and payment plans, they have to be well understood. They also have to see the repercussions behind it, and they also have to see how is the, you know, assured return thing going, how is the EMI system going, and all of that thing the buyer has to keep in mind. So they also have to keep in mind the title is clear, the land titles are clear, and then the statutory regulations that have been fulfilled by the buyer or not, builders or not. So that is the part where they have.
Okay, that's very relatable actually, because people do all the research, but the final decisions are definitely taken in urgency.
Exactly.
We also keep hearing about possession delays. How common is that in reality?
It is very common in the past. If you would say it has been very common in the past. However, now the market is much better after coming of the RERA, Real Estate Regulatory Authority. Now 6 to 12 months delay, however, are considered as normal, which should not be, because delay is a delay, which is 6 months ho ya 12 months ho, delay to delay hi rehta hai. So for that, I think that has to be understood by the builders.
That's right, because a delay directly impacts the buyer's life.
Exactly. His
EMI,
financials.
rent,
That's right.
uncertainty, all at once.
Yeah.
So if someone is planning to invest today, what should they actually check to make sure that the project is safe?
That's a very good question, Vanya. See, they have to check a lot of guidelines, a lot of things which they have to keep in mind before investing in a property, or if they are home buyers before buying that property for themselves. There are a lot of things about the buyer has to keep in mind. So, firstly, I would say they have to see if the RERA regulations have been fulfilled. They have to see if all the clauses of the booking form and the builder buyer agreement, they are very appropriately put in the agreement, and instead there are not one-sided clauses, because generally what happens is one-sided clauses are put by the builder, and when the one-sided clauses are there, at that time the buyer's interest, the interests are not safeguarded and are put behind. So that is where they have to be very careful. They have to see if the land is clear. I mean, there is no dispute on the land which they are buying, the property and the township, anything. So all of these things have to be kept in mind and for that, I think a legal review should be done by their lawyer.
Okay.
And that is very important before investing in any property.
So don't just rely on marketing, rely on documents as well. I
Yeah,
think
surely.
that line alone can save a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I want to understand this through a real life example. Have you seen a case where a buyer has been stuck badly?
Yeah, I have seen many cases where the buyers are being stuck, but yes, I can tell you a very good example of that. So there is a client of mine who's a senior citizen. He invested in a property in 2011, and he got his possession in 2024. So
Okay.
there was a delay of almost 15 years.
Okay.
And this 15 years delay costed him so much financially, emotionally, obviously.
Definitely.
So he came to us, and we resolved the same. So we went to RERA Gurugram, and we had a favorable order in favor of us. So and then the builder challenged it in HREAT, Haryana RERA Appellate Tribunal, Chandigarh. So that was also then the order was passed in our favor. And then after that we went to Punjab and Haryana High Court. So there also we got a favorable order. Then Supreme Court. So at the end, what was passed was that we got delay possession charges, DPC, from the date from 2015, that was deemed date of possession, till 2024. That was a very good order.
So after seeing cases like this, did your approach towards advising clients change?
So my approach was not changed, it was in rather improvised, as I could see that how the client was stuck for so many years. 15 years is a very long period.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that is where I also improvised. I could see that, yeah, how struck the client is, and how the builder buyer clauses are not, when we sign them, it's just a piece of paper. But then it's all about that how legally the document is validated.
Okay. So, what is not written does not exist. That's a powerful takeaway. If we simplify this, what is the common mistake buyers make these days?
Common mistake which the buyers make nowadays is about, they do not sign the document before, they do not read it carefully. And it's not only about reading the booking form, reading the builder buyer agreement. What it is mainly about is how can they understand the terms and conditions well, and for that they need a legal review of the same by a lawyer. And because a person is a layman who is not very well aware of the in between lines which are there, technicalities of the agreement. So that is where I think the common mistake clients make is all about the home buyers or the investors. What the mistake which is made by them is this only, that they just sign the document in a hurry, and that hurry cost them their savings. That's what
Definitely.
is.
That's so true, because people assume everything said
Yeah.
is said verbally will be honored. And honestly, do people even read agreements properly?
Now they have started reading the agreements properly. However, there are still certain complexities which they are not able to understand, but they think, chalo koi baat nahi, abhi kar lete hain sign. So that is where the mistakes happen. So that the clients should avoid.
Why do you think this rush happens?
The sales department, they just go with the branding of, and the sales department just makes them sign the documents in a hurry, that yeah, we have to, they also have the targets and all of that. So that is where I think the mistakes are happening.
So FOMO is real, especially in real estate.
Yeah.
And if you had to point out one red flag, what should buyers never ignore?
See, they should never ignore, I would say, when the possession timelines are not clearly given in the builder buyer agreement. So, because what happens is when the possession timelines are not clearly mentioned, then you don't have a specific date of possession, and there you land in trouble. So, for that, I feel that they should just look about the date of the possession, that how specific it is. Also, they should also see that the agreement is not abrupt. It doesn't have an abrupt ending, just like. And they should also safeguard certain of the clauses they should read, and just carefully check on them, so that if it is good or not. Because sometimes in the builder buyer agreement, the clauses are so one sided. For example, there are preferential location charges which are then afterwards, at the date of possession, they are put. So,
Okay.
or cost escalation charges are put. So, for
Okay.
that, they have to read all the clauses.
So when should buyers ideally involve legal guidance?
That's a very good question, Manya. Buyers should, I think, involve legal guidance right before signing the application form, the booking form, where the first transaction begins. I think the first agreement is signed between both the parties. The first contract is made. Before that, they should involve legal guidance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And agreement review, how important is that step?
It is very important. It's the foremost step which should be taken. In agreement review, as an agreement is reviewed by the lawyer, there are certain technicalities which are observed, and there are certain clauses which are observed, that yeah, this clause they say it seems one sided. So that thing the client may not be aware of, but the lawyer may be lawyer must help him guide the same, in
Okay.
guidance of the same.
So it's not optional, it's actually fundamental.
Yeah.
And earlier legal clarity, how does that really change the outcomes?
It changes the outcome a lot. I mean, the end result is, good, because when you seek earlier legal clarity, legal guidance, that way you are you are in a structured manner. You are approaching the problem in a structured manner. There is no problem also, and even if you face one, then, you know that, yes, I have already taken guidelines from my lawyer and he'll be able to help me solve that. So, it is way better than just approaching it blindly differently when the thing involving buying of the property is considered. So be it home buyer or be it investor, it's very important for both to have the property in the within the possession timelines, because otherwise it increases EMIs, increases the financial burden and all of that thing, right? So that is why it is very important to seek legal guidance earlier.
So you either avoid a bad deal or you enter the deal protected.
Yeah.
And now looking ahead, do you still think real estate is a safe investment?
Yeah, of course. Real estate is a very safe investment. However, you should approach it very safely. You should approach real estate in a manner where it is you are guided well, and when you approach in a structured manner, then things just work out in your favor.
So the opportunity is still there, but the awareness becomes the differentiator. And now, how should buyers balance opportunity and risks?
As I said, they can balance opportunities and risks both by approaching by signing the booking form and the builder buyer very vigilantly. They should read and understand all the clauses of the agreement, and they should also understand the implications behind it. They should check if there are any hidden charges involved in the agreement.
Okay.
They should check if the agreement is in a way which is one-sided. So that all of these things they have to check, and for that they should approach legal.
So, if you had one honest advice to somebody who's buying property today, what would it be?
My honest advice for someone who's buying a property, be it a home buyer or an investor, would be to understand the clauses of the agreement very carefully. And also, I would say that treat the property as a long-term commitment rather than as a fair deal. So, because a fair deal can just vanish, but the commitment it takes, so that will go on for years and years. So, be it is a good commitment, or if it is a bad commitment, so it just goes on, so like that.
Okay, that's such a grounded way to look at it. It's not just a deal but a long-term legal commitment. Real estate decisions are life decisions. The more we are aware before taking them, the safer the journey begins. That's exactly what Fintolit awareness aims to build. Informed decisions, financial clarity, and confidence at every step. Thank you so much, Sakshi, for sharing this with us today.
Thank you so much, Vanya.